Om. 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 Om Sri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Sri Saraswatye Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Vyasa Sankara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sri Tapona Sishyaya Namaha. Om Sri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. We'll chant the Santi Patha. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranaschakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani cha sarvani Sarvam Brahmopanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Ma Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastva Nirakaranam me astu Tadatmani nirate Yavupanishatsu dharmaha Te Mahi Santu Te Mahi Santu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now we are at mantra number 7. But before we go further, I will just quickly give a little bit of introduction for those who have not followed the Upanishads so far. And then we'll give a summary today because we only have 2 mantras left. So a quick introduction for the last 3 mantras is how we meditate so that we realize our true nature. Now I have mentioned in the past, our true nature can be described by 5 indicators. It is not the object, number 1. Number 2, it is changeless. Number 3, it does not have the property of coming and going like waking, dream, and deep sleep. Number 4, it is all-pervading existence consciousness. Because it is all-pervading existence consciousness, it gives us the existence, it gives us the consciousness of to talk, to hear. And the number 5 is, it is not a product or property or a part of the body, because it is infinite existence itself. So body actually borrows existence as well as consciousness from infinite Sat-Chit. Now, what is the problem? We use our upadhis. Upadhis means the doorways like body and the mind. And then we see the world just like the upadhi we use. So if we consider a body, and then what happens to consciousness is it flows through the body as though just like electricity flows through a fan or a heater. Same thing with the eyes. They're all upadhis. Because of the nature of the particular upadhi we use, the world we see in the same way. But minus the consciousness, none of them function. So consciousness is all-pervading, enlivening power, just like the electricity is all-pervading, enlivening power, in the presence of which fan or a light or a heater or a refrigerator work. But none of them is the power. They are only the users or dwaras or upadhis. So when you look through the upadhi, identified with the upadhi, you see only the properties of the particular equipment that we use. So, in order to break this, they give 3 techniques of upasana. One technique is Adi Daivika, external, but unseen powers. So, like a flash. When you really understand how the flash is, same way consciousness is also like a flash. It's also like a blink. When I close and open my eyes, I see my consciousness that pervade everywhere. So without my consciousness, none of them exist. So existence and consciousness is given by me through my equipment. That's how you do upasana. And then third, that's Adi Daivika upasana. Adi Adhyatmika is as you look inside yourself, thoughts arise and play and then drop. But behind each thought, there is actual consciousness, without which the thoughts which are moving do not actually have any power. So, anywhere there is a Shakti of something getting its ability to function, whether it is the eyes, or it's the ears, or it's the nose, or it's the prana, or the mind, that Shakti is Atman. Minus that Shakti, none of them are functioning, and it's common to all of them. So that is Adhyatmika, is internal. Every thought, every movement, every memory, we have to realize it is nothing but a Shakti of consciousness. So none of them, for example, body or the prana or the mind, have consciousness by themselves. That is why when you are asleep, when the consciousness is not manifesting, none of them function. Once the consciousness, now you say, well, prana is there. No, prana is there because it is only mechanical. It has no consciousness. Because suppose there is a snake on the top of the roof and you are sleeping below and the snake is, you'd park, prana would not tell you there is a snake. Consciousness only tell you through the eyes and through the legs, which have prana to run, or anything else. So prana is not just breathing, and breathing has no consciousness. Air has no consciousness. When it exists, when it manifests through our physiological system, then and the mind gives consciousness to the prana. So in deep sleep, prana is moving, but it has no consciousness. Prana is the Shakti of operating the legs and hands, or the eyes for that matter. It's not just physical. So to break the barriers imposed by the upadhis, such as eyes, legs, or body, you separate external meditation and internal meditation. Both of them, without the presence of consciousness, they do not have capacity. They are just jada. They do not have, and they do not fit the bill. They become objects of observations, or they are changing, and they come and go. So they are not Atman. So they are not, I mean, so for example, eyesight is only a part of the body. Whether eyes are working or not, consciousness is there. That's why you have to look at the big situation. So the upasanas are given so that we can break the barriers, external and inside. The third upasana is actually saying whether it is outside or inside, it is all in consciousness. It rises, and that's called vanam. Vana is the ultimate, most desirable principle in all of us. That is vanam, it is called. Now at this point, Vidya, the listener or the student asks a question, having taught most of the Upanishad. This is interesting. Last week I explained what it is. The student is asking a question, hey Guru, please teach the Upanishad. He asked again that question. the Guru answered, I have taught you Upanishad. I taught you Upanishad already, he said twice. Then Bhagavan Shankaracharya, in the commentary, he explains, it is not that he did not know that Upanishad was taught. Basically, the student, he didn't express his intention correctly. He's basically asking, is that all? You told us, you taught in the first two chapters what Atman, what is purpose of life, all that. And then this chapter you gave a akhyata story and give some meditation techniques. Is that enough? That is the implied question. Because the reason it is Shankaracharya deduces that answer is because of the way it is taught, the question is answered. So the answer to the question is mantra number 8. Mantra number 8 of okay. Tasya tapaha damaha karma iti pratishtha vedaha sarvangani satyamayatanam. Once again I will read. Tasya tapaha damaha karma iti pratishtha vedaha sarvangani satyamayatanam. So what Guru is now saying, what I said, what I taught is actually a sense of realization, how it actually manifests. Because when you see in totality of existence with chit, like a chit akasha, it is called. Everything appears as just a manifestation pervaded by same infinite being, as though. None of them have their own reality unless we give reality. Always remember this, reality is not in the object. It is not in the object. The reality is supplied through our consciousness or my presence. It never comes and says, use me. We have a vasana, or we supply the power to that. We also have capacity not to supply but use it just as an instrument. That is what Mahatmas do. They don't depend upon the world. They know world is rising inside them because the all pervading consciousness is their way of looking at themselves. That's like Atman. With Atma Drushti, when you see the world actually appears as just a data, not as a boss. But when you look at the world with Deha Bhava, it becomes Aham, and that becomes Mama. See, that this is all in the mind. So Brahma, realized person realizes body itself is just a thought. It's not an independent living power. The power to the body is supplied by us. Without the thought of the body, body also has no power. So also eyes, so also the ears. So how do we now realize and get established in that total infinite presence of our nature, true nature? So tasyai, for that, tapaha, damaha, karma iti, pratishtha vedaha sarvangani. So basically our life is split into 3 parts by our Sanatana Dharma. One is, let us say, up to Grihastha, including Brahmacharya, Grihastha, where the emphasis is on karma. You do Sandhya Vandanam, you daily, you treat others like Matu Devo Bhava, Acharya Ati Devo Bhava. Like that, you have certain practices, some disciplines. As a Grihastha, you take care of the society. and by performing rituals, and also by providing facilities like satras or water, like that, students education, like that. Now that is one stage of life, karma. Second stage can be tamaha, vanaprastha. Nowadays, maybe people, once they passed about 60 years of age, they should withdraw senses, predominance of senses in life. Apply certain shama and dhamma they should follow. Shama means a mental poise. Dhamma means sense under your own control. Shama, dhamma, uparati, reveling in ourselves. Samadhana, having mental purity, concentration, shraddha, titiksha. So you have to you learn so much in your life. You use that as wisdom and have a life of certain degree of renunciation, getting ready for the next stage, which is tapa. It's more like reveling in Brahma Tattva. Okay. Sannyasa. Whether you do it or not, you can kind of divide life in those three stages. And that tapa is really greatest tapas. Ramana Maharshi says, Upadesara, ahamapetakam, nizavibhanagam, mahadidantapo, ramanavagiyam. Greatest tapas is dropping that who am I, and first of all you think like that, and then realize that I is not just assumed upadhis, but the power behind the equipment. Once you have that Atma Drushti, everything appears as only a appearance in that Atma. So that is tapa. Vedaha sarvangani. You should reflect upon these Upanishads that we learn, and then we should internalize the teaching, and then we should also build on this a vision called Brahmakara Vrutti, it is called. So Brahmakara Vrutti is done where the upadhis are not there, but you exist as Sat-Chit conscious stage of existence. Sat-Chit means all-pervading existence like Akasha. Chit means it is not like Jada Akasha, it is Chidakasha, conscious, all-pervading being. In that state of existence, you don't have any upadhi, so you don't have any questions. Mind does not exist because mind is not supplied the power. Mind is the one which divides the world through the body, through the eyes. When the body, the mind itself has turned itself into itself, then you realize that we are infinite existence. Now the question infinite also doesn't come around because you are that already. Satyamayatanam. Satyamayatanam means this particular sadhana of spiritual journey has a foundation in truth. You be true to yourself. The urge coming from inside, I want to be happy, but I can't find the happiness because I'm looking at wrong places. You lie to yourself. I look there, I look there, I look there, and then you kid yourself. And Upanishad and Mahatmas will teach us constantly, but you keep on ignoring it because you are not true to yourself. Foundation of this realization is Satyam, being true to yourself. Transparency, morality, humility, these are all Satyas. We don't have any double standards. You just be yourself. And then have that Brahmakara Vritti, where you see the world as it is. Now we'll do the last mantra. यो वै एतामेवं वेदा sorry वेदा अपहत्य आत्मानम् अनन्ते स्वर्गे लोके ज्येये प्रतितिष्ठति प्रतितिष्ठति यो वै एतान् एवं वेद अपहत्य आत्मानम् आत्मानम् अनन्ते स्वर्गे लोके ज्येये प्रतितिष्ठति प्रतितिष्ठति. Yaha, yo means yaha, whoever. Why means fully committed the Veda, this teaching that is done so far, realizes, knows. Patmanam apahatya. He will get rid of all his preoccupations with mental movements. Patmanam in Vedanta Shastra means you projecting happiness in the objects of the senses and objects of the mind. And they bind you in turn. That is the ultimate sin. Or you can also say it is the original sin. Whichever way you want to look at it. Which we maintain. Apahatya means having destroyed it. Our problem is we don't follow this. Whatever it is taught, we don't really follow. We do make change. Don't take me literally. Every one of us, as we learn, as we read Bhashya, as we teach, as we hear, Sravana would give us clarity and more steadiness, more capacity to listen for longer, and more capacity to postpone others, not the pravachan. See, so it helps. So Sravana, Manana, then Manana also would strengthen that this is true. My problem is I'm identifying with the small things and complaining. And the small things have no power unless I give it. That Manana. It intellectually, I confirm this is correct. That Manana would help that. Nitithyasana would actually, you use this teaching and you actually reflect and live that while your eyes are open or closed, or you are sitting in a prayer room by yourself. That is why it is said in this one, Veda, in the previous mantra it is said, Vedaha Pratisthaha. But keep on repeating the teaching and keep on listening and keep on meditating and keep on confirming to your heart that this is the true happiness. Rest of them is comes and goes. That clarity you only happen when you meditate and you do yourself the sadhana. Patmanam apahatya, having destroyed the pre-attachments, conditioned attachments with the mind and body. Ananta Swarga, Jaya. Jaya means that superior life existence. Ultimate. Jaya Anante Swarge Loke. In that infinite existence. In that infinite existence is Swarga. Swarga means it's not heaven. Literally it is translated as heaven in English. But the Swarupa Gamana is Swarga. Means your Swarupa is Satchit Ananda. That is Swarupa. Everything else is borrowed through Upadhi. Upadhi means whatever equipment you use and supply power to it, that presents the world in a particular way. But you have the freedom not to be bound to it. Upadhi is nothing wrong, it's only equipment given to you. But then we decide our life through the ultimate as ultimate. That's where the problem comes. That's why we want to be happy all the time, but we are always searching. Because ultimate happiness is your own true self. Anante Jye Swarge Loke Anante. Now here the very important point has to be made here. It said Anante. Anante means infinite. How is it infinite? See, I'm finite. I cannot visualize how a finite can become infinite. I cannot visualize. Whatever you may say, I cannot visualize. If it is infinite, obviously I cannot be me because I am small. I'm not infinite. Vedanta Shastra clarifies this. What you are saying, I am this, is an error. It is not your body. You are erroneously assuming your body. That is the reason it is possible. See, fundamentally, Ananta is not possible if you are not already that. See, it is only possible if you are already that. So only reason you are not, although you are that, you are not realizing you are that infinite being, infinite existence is because you are mistaken to be yourself, his body. Or the changing mental frames. But you step back, you are infinite. The error is to be removed. So, very important point I'm making here. Unless you are infinite, you cannot become infinite. Because fundamental infinite is different from limited. So only way you can become limited is if you made an error that I am finite. Okay, but even though you made an error, you are always infinite only. Okay, that is why it is telling you are making an error by combining nama rupa with consciousness, and then looking through you just realize you look as an Atman yourself, infinite being, then nama rupa will also appear as you. Inside you, they are rising. So you are a consciousness, are all pervading, infinite now. Within you, the thoughts and our body and mind are rising and they are playing. So you are able to isolate them if you shift your attention to the common ground, like a nirvikalpa. What we are looking at is we are looking at vikalpa or visesha. We should look back and look at it nirvisesha, which is all pervading. That's the difference. So that is the only reason Ananta is possible. It's not that you are becoming infinite. You are already infinite. You just mistook to be the body. So a lot of people say, oh, the ocean, the wave has become ocean. No, it was always ocean. See, you should look at it correctly. Then only it makes sense. Wave was always ocean. It just mistook to be the wave. So a wave is not becoming ocean. If you say a wave is becoming ocean from the point of view of the wave, you are wrong. The question is also correct. How can the wave become ocean? The question is also correct. So same thing with the jiva also. The question, how can jiva become the infinite Atman, is correct only if you look yourself as jiva. The moment you drop it and say Shiva, 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 and you stay there, you are infinite. Even if your eyes open are also you are infinite. And it says pratitishthati, pratitishthati. that person will become established in that pure being, infinite existence. Pratitishthati. He repeats twice. That is the way of Upanishads normally conclude. But when they repeat the last word, it means Upanishad is finished. And also it is emphasis. What I'm teaching is true. It works. You just have to start working. Okay. With that, this Upanishad is completed. I will give a quick summary of what we learned in this Upanishad. And I have kind of mentioned few of the important points. First chapter, it starts with a question, by whom the whole universe as we experience it is connected, and eyes function, ears operate, mind operates, by whom? That's the question. It starts with a question. And then in chapter 1, chapter mantra, I'm not going to go to mantras. I will only quote the important points. Then the teacher immediately says, it is the srotrasya srotram manaso manoyat. Vachoha vacham na upranasya prasa upranasya. So it is the eye of the eye, mind of the mind, speech of the speaker, prana of the prana, eyes of the eyes, eye of the eye, the dhiraha, the one who is really purified intellectually in his heart. Pretyasma loka bhavati. Once he transcends the individual limitations of these equipment, which are not the power, they are the upadhis through which the world appears, but they are not the infinite power. So infinite power is all pervading existence consciousness. Within that, mind operates, borrowing its power from infinite consciousness. So body is actually nama rupa. Eye is also nama rupa. Same nama rupa means name and form. So none of them by themselves are sentient. They are just pieces of flesh. So I can take one person's eyes and put in somebody else's eyes. I can take one person's lungs and put in somebody else's lungs. So they are insentient. So we essentially unknowingly attribute our identity with these. So pretyasma lokat amrita bhavanti. Once you transcend these means you realize they are nothing but equipment through which you are operating, but you are not that. That is why eye of the eye, ear of the ear, mind of the mind means you are that infinite existence, consciousness, bliss. These are changing. That doesn't change. Even if the body drops, it remains. So this is summary. So it says you are not any one of these equipment or upadhis, but you are that existent infinite consciousness which exists even if the body drops. Pretyasmat loka amrita bhavanti. So even if you realize while you are alive, you become that infinite because you are that now. Number one. Then he has to kind of elaborate that. He says, eyes cannot go there, speech cannot go there. We don't know how to teach because speech cannot go there. Once see, basic problem here is you are that infinite self being right now. Just like a fish, if it is looking for where is water, how can you teach it? It has always been in it. It is made of sea. Whatever nutrients sea provided made the body of the fish. Same thing with us. The whole universe is our father and mother. But you are already born in consciousness. The whole universe is running to the power of consciousness. So even as we call it, Ishvara, who is performing the whole sustenance and maintenance and destruction, who is the nourisher of our body, mind, intellect, that is also operated by consciousness only. So how to teach this? We do not know because you are already that. This is a challenge. So it's actually a very complicated problem. We might think, oh, it is no. A fish would not know it until it stops projecting that it is body. It stops projecting what it learned, what has unlearned, what it thinks about itself. That is the reason this Upanishad is so good. Then, verse number 4, chapter 1, Anyadeva viditat adho aviditat adhi. It is different from what you think you know and what you think you don't know, because it is you. What I know, what I do not know is mental. But this is behind both of them. So as power, as consciousness, lightning both the enlightening both these thoughts. When you let go, Shiva, you are that. But then he said, Iti Susrama Gurvesham Yenastad Vyachachakshire. So we heard from the teachers who taught this to us. So then he gave a clue. In the previous mantra, he said, it is beyond speech, it is beyond, but we heard it from our, so that means it can be taught through Sabda Pramana, Guru Sishya Parampara. That is the clue. Then they say, from mantras 5 to 9, in verse chapter number 1, I will take one mantra. Yak chakshusha na pashyati, yena chakshumshi pashyati, adeva brahmatvam vidhi, nedam yedidam upasate. It's a very, very, very powerful slokas. These are from 5 to 9, I believe. Whatever you think this is God is not God. It is a projection of your body, mind, intellectual equipment. God cannot be an object. It is subject. Yaha chakshusha na pashyati. God you cannot see with eyes because you are God. Yena chakshumshi pash. Because of God, because of that Shakti of consciousness, eyes are able to see. Tadeva Brahmatta. You realize the Shakti, the principle which operates all these upadhis through which you are able to witness, see the world, are nothing but insentient, pure equipment. You are that Shakti. Turn your eyes and Jnana behind to itself. Within you, they are functioning. Mind has to become no mind. Amanaskaha, it says in Mandir Upanishad. So let us take a simple perspective. Let's break it a little bit here. Ramana Maharshi beautifully explains in Saddarshanam. We don't go there. The sense of direction, the sense of limitation, spatial limitation, doesn't exist in sleep because you are already infinite. But you are not aware because you have no jnana. Mana's mind has not yet been educated. But when we identify with the body, the directions come. The space is not divided. We divide it. In Saddarshan, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi explained. So basically, it is all in mind. What is existing is Chid Akash, all pervading infinite existence. If I assume the body entity, I see Dallas, Texas. Somebody else may see Columbus, Ohio. Somebody else might see Syracuse, New York. Somebody might see Bombay in India. But the direction is happened because of this identity. identification. But existence consciousness is not any one of these. All of them, whoever I'm talking about, have developed a identification with the body through the mind and then divided the world. Even when they are divided, they are infinite only. That awareness is missing. Number one. Okay, now how about senses? So I said we have got understanding of the body. How about the senses? They are also dead. They are not sentient. As I said earlier, I can take my eyes to somebody else and that fellow will see through his mind. My eyes. So they are not fundamentally conscious. They are just like a telescope or just like a microscope or just like a stethoscope. They have instruments. Whatever they present is only data being presented to the mind. So my mind is all pervading. But because of the sockets I use in this location, I actually program my mind out. Because I identify the sockets with my body. But they're all insentient. Then, okay, how about prana? We say when somebody is alive, we say prana is breathing. So no, as I already said in the earlier, a prana doesn't have life of itself. It gets Shakti, borrows Shakti from consciousness. Because if you're lying down and then suppose there is a snake on the roof, you would not know when you're sleeping. Prana is still there. And also a person who passes away, he might be sitting in the chair, he has no prana, but it does not mean the power is not there. The power is always there. It is not reflecting in the subtle equipment. Subtle equipment runs prana as well as indriyas and mind. Consciousness is not a part of the body. That's why I had to say this before also. It's not a part or product or a property of the body. It is independent. That's why those who are alive are still breathing. Because their consciousness is reflecting, all pervading. Then we come to the mind. We say, oh, mind has to be sentient because I can think, I am alive. It comes and goes. Deep sleep, you don't have mind. Number one. Number two, okay, how about while I am talking, while I am watching, while I am awake? Even then, mind is nothing but a movement of pictures. Chitta Vutti Pravaha. It is the definition of mind. In Tattva Bodha, Shankaracharya, Bhagavan Shankaracharya. Chitta Vutti Pravaha. Flow of the thoughts is called mind. So if there are no thoughts, there's really no mind there. That's consciousness. It is true, it appears like consciousness because it is witnessing thoughts. But mind is no mind when there is you're not sustaining thoughts. Deep sleep, you have the mental equipment, but you are not maintaining thoughts. So what is really you? All of these are equipment. They present only certain data, but mind is the closest because it can get educated. When the flow of thoughts stops, you see mind is pure. We call it mind is pure. Patmanam, having transcended these sins. At that point, you don't consider yourself as the body, but the mind still exists. Eyes still exist, but you don't consider yourself with what is presented by the eyes. I and mama, you don't split. They function, but you don't split. Right now, I split between what inside and outside. Inside I call I, outside I call mama. That split you stop. That is mental. So mind gives you Shakti, consciousness gives you power through the mind, to the senses, and to the world, and to the body and world. So in chapter 2, The question starts, who are you? A little bit of answer. He says, I am neither what I know nor what I do not know. I am the knower. The question is asked. So then he answers that. And he also says, if you think you know, you don't know. Because knowledge is only possible at the mental level. When the moment you say, I know Brahman, you do not know. It is not an object of knowledge, it is you. You just remain, for transactionally you may talk, but you tell. Because you're asking me to talk, I'm talking, but I am not this. Then there's a beautiful mantra, which says, if you think you know, you don't know. Those who don't think they know, they really know. That means they're not using their mental equipment, but they're identifying with what they are. And then they stop there. The beautiful mantra is, Pratibodha viditam matam amrutatvam hi vindate vidyaya atmana vindate viryam vidyaya vindate amrutam. This is 2.4. Beautiful mantra. In every experience, there is only one true power behind it. If you focus your attention to that power, you are none of these. You are that infinite. In every experience, Pratibodha viditam matam. Amrutatvam hi vindate. Only knowledge is possible because of that existence, conscious, infinite principle that is illumining like a light. In the presence of light, everything appears, but light is not any one of them. In the same way, all your equipment arise within consciousness, they do a performance, a job in the presence of consciousness, and consciousness remains whether this is working or not. So, pratibodha viditam matam amrutatvam hi vindate. Then he says, ihacheda vediti mahasatyam asti. If you understand this and realize who you are, satyam asti. You really, a life of fulfillment is achieved. Nachedaha veti mahati vinashtihi. Nachedaha, iha means here, while alive. If you don't learn this, it says greatest loss. Mahati vinashtihi. The Rishi is crying, although, as though. A simple children, when they are doing mischiefs, we know that they are little mischiefs, and then we let it go. But as they grow, they continue doing different kinds of mischiefs. People who are matured, who realize that they're spoiling their life, they cry out, saying that Nana, you have so much potential, but you are wasting it away. In the same way, Rishi's point of view, we are all Brahman, potentially divine. But we are not using the potential. It's a great loss of life, human life. The Vedic Sudamani I quoted during the pravachan earlier talks. Shankaracharya also says that. Second verse, I think. So how do you do? Bhuteshu vijitya dhiraha prityasma lokatamrutam. In every experience, bhuta means that which come to exist. So if you see only that, and then it moves to your frame is mind, changing your mind. But if you realize you are that infinite consciousness first, within that consciousness, mind is operating. Rest of them become only a information. And key to happiness is in your hands, in your pocket. Transactionally, as Ramakrishna said, when you operate in the world, you have one hand here, one hand in God. When you are not in the world, both hands put in the God. What it means is, do not engage yourself with the thought flow. Adhyatmika meditation, we talked earlier in the beginning of this class. Every sankalpa is nothing but it is getting its power from consciousness. So withdraw ka sankalpa. And memory, withdraw. So bhuteshu. Bhuta means that which come to exist is outside or inside. That barrier has to be broken because mind pervades both inside and outside. As Atman, it pervades both. It's only physically we drop. We drew the line, as I mentioned earlier. Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi said, once you identify only the directions come up. So to prove the point, self is the support of everything. Existence, consciousness is the support of everything. There is a beautiful story is said in chapter 3, where Devatas, who by the way are supposed to be sattvic, much more sattvic than us, have had a victory over Rakshasas or Asuras, and then they're celebrating it as though they won it. Now, the problem here is that, of course, luckily they're Devatas. Because they are Devatas, they are sattvic enough that they can hopefully learn the teaching. So Bhagavan appears to them to teach a lesson in the form of a effulgent figure in the distance. So Agni goes there first. He is sent there to find out who it is. Agni goes there, and then that cosmic power that appeared gives him a blade of grass and asks him to burn it. Because Agni says, I can burn anything. So he said he cannot burn it. Then Vayu is sent. Vayu also says, yeah, what are you? What your capacity? Vayu says, I can blow anything. Then he says, okay, this blade of grass, you blow it away. And then Vayu cannot even move it. Then they ask Indra to go. Indra also goes, but Indra is most qualified. He symbolizes Manas. Suddenly, he realizes this is something, an opportunity to learn, because he's most sattvic. And then he contemplates. And then he starts to realize this is something beyond body, mind, intellect. Upadhi atita. And then he becomes humble. And then that figure disappears. In the name of that, the place of that figure, Mother Parvati Uma appears. And then he asks her, and she teaches Brahma Vidya. He is Brahman. The person that appeared is Brahman, to give you a lesson that you did not win. It is your power is there, his power. So Agni's power is coming from Brahman. Vayu's power is coming from Brahman. Like that, our powers to talk, to listen, to reflect, to say, I am the great, even to say that you are getting borrowing power from consciousness. I am rich. I am stupid. None of this commentary that we repeat is possible because speech of the speech is consciousness. It's not speech of the speech does not mean it's also speech. No, it is the Shakti behind speech. This is Shakti behind the whole universe. So that you just want the moment you withdraw into that Shakti, you become the whole universe. Even Ishvara disappears. So Tadeva Brahmatvam Nedam Yedidam. Not this. As so Balaji is sitting in Tirupati temple. No. He is pervading everywhere. That Shakti. Uma, that's the mother of the universe, has given this teaching to him. So there are 6 lessons from the teaching: that God exists, number 1. Number 2, God cannot be known by simple techniques of eyes of the eye, through the eyes and ears and legs and speech, because he is beyond yourself. A qualified student who is humble, has humility, he can learn. And number 4 is, Guru will come when you are ready. Don't complain. Or don't say, I know everything. Either both of them are wrong. And then in chapter 4, which is last chapter, they say those Indra and Varuna and Agni have become great because they have come close to Brahman. The others could not come that far. So those who strive for Brahma Vidya are actually superior. And then 6th message of this is in chapter 4, it said, Tadvanam, those who realize that others are also appreciate them, because they also feel, I mentioned that in the last class, they also feel connected in their presence. Then suddenly the student asks a question, sir, can you please teach Upanishad again? Of course, I should go back one step, and they are given a Upanishad. The Upanishad has given 4 techniques of Upasana. After giving that 4 techniques of Upasana, Upanishad has said Tadvanam. In the beginning of this class, I mentioned those 4 techniques very briefly. So I'm not going to go over that. The last 3 mantras we did at the beginning of the class. I will just go over as summary. So the student asks him, sir, please teach Upanishad again. By that, the teacher understands that he's asking, is that all in the Upanishad, or there's something more to learn? So the teacher says, yes, you need tapa, dhamma, karma to purify yourself in the beginning as a preparatory. Without the purification, Upanishad doesn't come to you because you are not ready. Even if you start, it will not stick. So all the purification culminates in the realization, whereas realization, although it is available all the time. Then Vedanga, you said you reflect upon the teachings of Vedas, means Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. These are some of the fundamental teachings, but at the same time, karma, nishkam karma, upasana, seva, and tapa, these are all the, and then reading and reflecting and meditating, attending, listening. And then finally he said, once you go through this kind of a realization, you outgrow all the binding tendencies inside you and you experience Anante Swarge Pratidishtati. You become established in that being. Because you are already that. That is the important point I made today. So the tradition is, we never assume we learnt everything. Because the moment you assume you learnt everything, you already made the mistake. Ahankara has taken over. So the tradition is, we always go back and chant the first verse, first mantra, to say we are always a learner, we are making a new beginning in every time in our life with humility. So I will read the first mantra again. Om Keneshitam Patati Preshitam Manaha Kena Prana Pradhama Praiti Yuktaha Keneshitam Vachamimam Vadanti Chakshusrotram Kaudevo Yunakti. I also will chant Santi Patha again. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranaschakshrotramatho Balamindriyani Jasarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Ma Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastu Nirakaraname Astu Tadatmanirate Ya Upanishadsu Dharmaha Te Mai Santu Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Reading includes everything. So otherwise it is not all pervading. Right? So it includes subject, jnata, jnaya, Jnana, all the 3. At the mental level, it includes all the 3. At the physical level, it includes you and the world at the same time as Ishvara. So there is no subject-object separation there. That happens only in the mind and in the body. So by definition, infinite means there are no upadhis. So for those who do not know what upadhi means looking yourself through your equipment and the world. That is upadhi. So your limitations are the body you impose on yourself. Okay. So when you don't have upadhis, you become infinite. At that point, Upadhi himself disappears. Because Upadhi is mental. That's the reason. In the mental, Upadhi disappears because once the mind becomes resolved, when the Ahankara gets resolved in its own true existential nature, body has no contextual existence. It might appear to others, but the person has no direct contact with it. As his identity, okay? Or her identity. Okay? Good question. Dream is basically reliving some of the residual thoughts currents buried in your subconscious. They come to conscious level. Okay? So, dream is also nothing more than my memories playing in myself. Because my dream is different from your dream. And vice versa. And then whatever I experience in dream does not extend into waking state because it is only my thoughts, my mind. Okay? So dream has really no concrete reality other than I supplied power to it. And my ahankara, my presence is a must in dream. Without me, my dream doesn't exist. But Vedantins use dream as a proof that cosmic consciousness as Ishvara can operate the laws. But difference between you and Ishvara is, for Ishvara, he knows it is a dream-like world. Just like Jnani would know. Whereas we do not. Because we added mamatva to it. Mamatva means mine. It's mine. It's I and mine. When you add that, it's not a dream anymore. But in the world itself is like a dream, except the reality that we say is continuing. But there's a big discussion on this topic in Mukhya Upanishad. So I will stop with that.